Hi, this is Justin Barrett, president of Blueprint 1543. I'm a psychological scientist and a former university professor. Thanks for joining me. Today, I'd like to talk about what to do about Santa Claus as we think about celebrating Christmas. So it's common, as we all know, in American culture to put Santa Claus kind of front and center in the old Christmas season. Many of us who are coming from a Christian perspective feel a little bit uncomfortable with sort of Jesus's birthday being hijacked by a dude with a beard in a red suit. It feels a little bit funny. It is a holiday, after all, which means holy day. And what's Santa Claus got to do with being holy? And even for those who are not concerned about that side of things, you might be a little bit concerned with the whole lying to your kids thing. Is it okay to tell your kids that there's this dude who creeps into the house and leaves toys and is watching kind of eerily in the background? And does that undercut our trust and relationship with our kids when they find out that maybe somebody else put the presents under the tree or in the stockings? Those are, I think, real issues for parents and other caregivers to wrestle with. So I just want to share how I wrestled with that. My wife and I wrestled with that in our house and what we decided to do about it. So Santa Claus and Christmas, how do they go together? We didn't want to be those weird people who were all anti-Santa Claus and kind of grumpy and mean about it. You can come off that way. I had one set of grandparents who basically, out of some of those concerns and the secularizing of Christmas, ended up just not really celebrating it much. And as a kid, I felt like they were just kind of grumpy about it. And so I kind of liked the other grandparents better for a while because they were into it. And so stay away from it. Well, we didn't want to be those parents who did that kind of thing, but yet we really did feel this reality of we don't feel good about deceiving our kids because some kids will figure it out pretty early, and my kids are not dumb, and they might take after their old man who I, as a kid, shows my kind of nerdy upbringing, I guess, but you know, my parents, they invested in us in that they got us some young student encyclopedias, and I would read those as a small child. I learned to read fairly early, and so as a 5-year-old, I'm reading the encyclopedias. And well, I looked up Santa Claus once, and it said, see St. Nicholas. So I read about St. Nicholas, and it gave the years of his birth and death. So is Santa a ghost? I didn't conclude that, but I did conclude that maybe he was dead. So that's kind of a rude way to find out that Santa Claus is not visiting your house, or if he is, that he is a spirit wandering the world. We didn't want that for our kids. So we took some inspiration actually from a few sources. One of those was the Tim Allen movie, The Santa Claus, and the idea of Santa Claus being not a person, but a role, an office, a little bit like the postman. Nobody worries about, well, come on, has the postman delivered every house every day all over the United States? That's impossible. There's no postman. All right, that doesn't make sense. Why? Because the postman is an office. It's a role that lots of people can play, and they are the postman. Likewise, lots of people, in this case, could be Santa Claus. They could play the role of Santa Claus. And we found support in this idea through stories from the life of St. Nicholas, because it's hard to keep inquisitive kids from making the connection between St. Nicholas and Santa Claus. After all, Santa Claus was inspired by the life of a real live person, St. Nicholas, Bishop of Myra, from what is now present-day Turkey, real person who showed up at historic convenings of leaders of the early Christian church, actually was there when they were wrestling over things like what should be included in the Bible and other kinds of things. Real guy who's known as the patron saint of children and of sailors and other types of things. If half of the stories about his life are remotely true, he was an incredibly generous person and courageous. It's the courageous part that's really inspiring. So we found some of these stories, including stories about him giving gifts to poor children, about saving children from various types of things, atrocities, injustices, and so forth, rescuing sailors, all kinds of cool things that St. Nicholas seems to have been involved with in his life, both as a child and then later on as the bishop. And in some of these stories, there's this theme of the expression of gratitude to St. Nicholas's generosity as being to go and do likewise, to be generous as well to others. And for the fun of it, to do it in secret, because St. Nicholas liked to give anonymously and secretively, to sneak presents into houses, for instance, and that kind of thing. So what if we go and do likewise? We honor St. Nicholas's memory, his generosity, which was inspired by his commitment to God, his love of Jesus, inspired him to be a generous person. We can imitate him in his love of God by being generous as well, and in that secretive, fun kind of Santa Clausy way. So that's how we're connecting this historical person of St. Nicholas to that Santa Claus movie idea of it's a role. We can put the two together and then present that to our kids. So what we did every year is we would read stories from the life of St. Nicholas up until St. Nicholas Day. We would celebrate St. Nicholas Day, which is unusual for people. We are Protestants, evangelical Christians who don't normally celebrate saint days, but we made a point of celebrating St. Nicholas Day. We actually did our secretive stocking gift kind of thing to each other on St. Nicholas Eve. We would stuff the stockings and so forth. On St. Nicholas's Saint's Day, which is December 6th, we would then open the presents together. So, and the night before, we're taking turns playing Santa Claus by sneaking in and putting stuff in each other's stockings. And we know we're all in on it, but that doesn't take away the fun. Go ahead and write that these are from Santa Claus or from St. Nicholas. And then we celebrate the Saint's Day. And what that did for us, we think, sort of psychologically in our house as our kids were little, is the focus on gifts and presents. And the good thing about getting presents for each other and learning how to do that well was taken care of. But it was taken care of early enough in the Christmas season that wasn't distracting from Jesus's birthday when his birthday rolled around December 25th. So in some traditions, they will do all the gift stuff on, say, Three Kings Day, which then shows up in January. And the reason we opted not to do that, to celebrate the Three Kings Day and do gifts then, is because then it sort of felt like, well, would the kids be looking past Christmas to all the presents? And then that discounts or sort of cheapens Christmas. We didn't want that to happen. We wanted to go ahead and be able to do the Santa Clausy stuff and do the present stuff, have that over with, but continue to be in that celebratory Christmas season. And then on December 25th, we could really celebrate Jesus's birthday and have a birthday party where we then give presents to Jesus. What does that mean? Well, lots of different things, lots of different presents, but it's his birthday after all, not ours. So why would we be getting presents? Let's give Jesus the presents. And they end up looking sometimes like New Year's resolutions, but sometimes they were little things that we deliberately did in advance in the run up to December 25th that then were sort of dedicated to Jesus. Maybe like writing a poem or preparing a song that then we're sharing with everybody. A wood carving performance. There are lots of things that we can do as gifts to Jesus on his birthday that then are separate from the gift exchange kind of idea that then is happening, at least in our house, on St. Nicholas Day. And it still happens in our house roughly on St. Nicholas Day, even though my kids are adults now. So that's kind of how we've managed to keep Santa Claus in the Christmas season without Santa Claus competing with Jesus and his birthday, be able to celebrate both and let Santa Claus or St. Nicholas do in the Christmas season what he did in real life, which is to keep pointing back to Jesus, and that he doesn't take the attention away from Jesus in his big day. There are other little things that I could add that we've done to tune around that, but those are all in a little book that I put together that I've shared with others about how we've tried to celebrate both St. Nicholas Day and Christmas in a way that preserves the sacredness of Christmas and the fun as well around both Christmas and St. Nicholas Day. So if you're interested in that, I think we're going to find some way to make that available as an ebook or some kind of document like that. But thanks for listening. I hope that this encourages you to think a little differently about what you might be able to do in your family, in your situation, the traditions you can start, and not end up in a situation of having to disappoint your kids or lie to them or whatever about this creepy ghost deceased bishop who's drifting around and stuffing stockings, because that's kind of weird. But thanks for listening. I'm Justin Barrett. Like, subscribe, share this link with friends if you find this helpful. Let me know of other things you might want me to talk about, and Merry Christmas.